morning, everyone. Good morning, fellow speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, APAC, for having me here for this wonderful session in a wonderful city of Bhopal. So, before I begin, let, let me talk about. When I came to Bhopal, so today morning I just went for a morning walk, and the air I was breathing and it was looking very fresh. So I said that coming from Delhi, where you feel it's a hell these days, that Delhi has become a gas chamber. Where in the AQ a couple of days a couple of days back I was checking, it was touching almost 1,000. So here still it is below 100. And fortunately it rained yesterday, so it was further blessed. But the other side of it, I went to my sister-in-law's place, and there I checked with her, what do you use in your kitchen? Is it still LPG or what? So she said LPG. So that is where I didn't like it. I said that Bhopal has already been authorized. Good companies are working here in the state of Madhya Pradesh, and 4 gas pipelines are passing through the state. So sooner or later you should get it. So with this, I'll just begin my presentation. First of all, I think it's not anything new that we all know that pollution today, it's one of the biggest environmental health hazard for all of us, and resulting in millions of deaths. So COVID, which we have been talking about last 2.5 years, it just took 6.7 million deaths. Whereas when I checked it, how many deaths which occurred in 2019, there were 9 million deaths because of pollution, which is far ahead, 50% more than what we had from pollutions, and that too in 2.5 or 3 years' time. So we all know that how big an issue this pollution is for us, and out of this 9 million, 2.3 million deaths are in India alone. So that's a worrisome factor. And global warming, we all know, we talk about unprecedented farm fires, forest fires, erratic floods. Saudi Arabia getting the heavy rains, or Pakistan getting flooded, China getting a drought, ice glaciers, they are melting. So these are concerns unless we address them as fast as possible. So otherwise, it's not going to be good for the mankind in total. Very recently in COP26, our Honorable Prime Minister, he gave a Panchamrit for this, one of the Panchamrit was that non-fossil fuel capacity of energy would be around 500 gigawatts by 2030. Currently, the total installed capacity in the country itself is just 400 gigawatt. So it's a big challenge for all of us. He wants to reduce carbon emissions drastically, and by 2070 want to be net zero. So having said that, the targets are tough for us. We have to really move fast, and we all are talking that somebody is talking India would be a 10 trillion economy by 2030. Somebody is saying 40 trillion economy. Somebody is saying 50 trillion economy. Will be second largest economy in the world, and in fact we are growing at we are right now the fastest growing economy in the world, the sweetest spot in the globe. The people are talking about recession, whereas India is talking about a whopping growth of around 7%, 6.8 to 7% currently. But there is a big but that to grow we need energy. So, and energy brings pollution if it is not clean energy. So, right now, India accounts for almost 18% of the global population, but our primary energy consumption is just 6%, so which is far lower than the global averages. And today, India per capita consumption of energy is just 0.6 tons of oil equivalent as compared to global 1.8 TOE. So recently there was a statement by the finance minister that if we have to take our per capita income to $5,000, we are I think already just about $2,000. So the energy consumption has to grow by at least 2.5 times from the current levels. While we know that we all need energy, but this energy, the way we are consuming it currently in the country, brings a lot of environmental hazards, pollution hazards. Today, India is the third largest CO2 emitter in the world. Even though our per capita energy CO2 emissions is lower, but if you look at the carbon intensity in the power sector, it is much above the global averages. This is mainly because India is dependent on the coal, the primary source for generating energy. And today, three-fourths of the country's energy is met by the fossil fuel, coal at the top, and the cleanest at the bottom, that is the natural gas, around 6 to 7%. So today, but unfortunately, India is deficient in its, to meet its requirement, and we are importing almost 80% of the crude oil for the meeting India's requirement, and around 50% of the natural gas. So to set the tone, that is why these slides I felt that before I talk about natural gas, let me set the context that the cleanest fuel being used the least in the country, and natural gas being amongst them. So why there should be a natural gas? Of course, it's an environment friendly. That is what was the commitment of the government in the COP26, and it's cheaper than its fellow fossil fuels. And the recent discoveries in the countries is also more towards the gas than the other fossil fuels. Now, if you look at the energy consumption for the last 10 years from the natural gas point of view, we have reached nowhere. The share in terms of the percentage has been coming down, but if you look at the absolute terms, we are at the same levels where we were in 2012. So there is an emergent need that we need to increase the share of the natural gas, especially when we compare it to the global levels, where the natural gas is around 25% of the overall energy basket, whereas India is just around 7%. This data is 2019, so it's showing around 7.6, but the current consumption of natural gas is around 6 to 7%. And moreover, the government is also very focused onto it, and none other than our Honorable Prime Minister, he says that we want to take natural gas consumption in the overall energy basket to 15% from the current 6 to 7%, which is a big challenging task. And but the good news is that we have an example in the country, and the role model, if we talk about the state of Gujarat, where it is slightly above the global averages, around 26% when we talk about natural gas consumption. So today, the role of natural gas, though we are talking about renewables in terms of solar, wind, so a lot of these things are floating around, and they are important. I'm not saying that we don't need renewable. We do need as fast as possible. But fossil fuel, they are going to be there for years to come. And natural gas has a role. It has to have a role of a bridging fuel, being the cleanest and the cheapest amongst all fellow fuels, fossil fuels. And recently there was a report from the TERI. It said that the natural gas consumption has to grow by almost 4 times from the current levels of around 170 MMSCMD being consumed in the country. And the usage is fertilizer, CGD, industrial, and power, where it is declining. And the CGD is going to be the major major using sector as far as natural gas is concerned. So where PNGRB has been very sensitive to it, besides the government support, I'll talk about it later. Just a small slide on the fuel economics before I talk about what role of PNGRB is. If even after increase in the gas prices, to almost $8.50 for the administered price gas and $12.50 for the high pressure, and the LNG, they're zooming around $20, $40, $35. So in spite of that, if we today compare, I just took this data from one of the CGD companies. So if we compare CNG to the petrol prices, as good as still 80-85% cheaper. diesel, it's still cheaper by 70%. And if we compare PNG with the LPG, it's around 25% cheaper still at such elevated prices of natural gas. So, as I said earlier, that fossil fuels are going to be there, but by 2040, I mean, as per this study, what I've done by Terry, so the role of oil will start fading away by around 2040. Coal will start declining. The only fuel which is going to increase would be the natural gas. And by 2050, we see that the share of the renewables will be around 66%, and the fossil fuels will be around 22%, and the natural gas will be taking the major role by then. See, the journey of renewables so far, it has been an exponential growth if we talk about the wind, but we are still far away from our, it's still a distance where we have to travel. So, the wind today it's around 40 gigawatt with a 17.5% CAGR growth over the last 22 years. And the solar has been walking 41% CAGR to a current level of 54 gigawatt in the country. Now, who are we? I come from PNGRB. PNGRB was constituted under the Petroleum and Natural Gas Board 2006 via the gazetted notification 31st March 2006. So it's a regulatory body, autonomous body formed under this act. Now the board has been mandated to regulate the refining, processing, storage, transportation, marketing and sale of petroleum and petroleum product, except that we don't regulate the production of crude oil and the natural gas. The purpose is to ensure that there is an uninterrupted and adequate supply of petroleum products and natural gas in all the parts of the country. Now the current focus, as I was focusing from the very beginning on the natural gas being the cleanest, so is the PNGRB current focus is on. We are focusing on the natural gas and so that its share in the energy basket can increase as fast as possible. We want to create an infrastructure to support the higher gas consumption in the country, establish a transparent and vibrant natural gas market in the India, so that there is a balance. And at the same time, since there are different stakeholders, we want to have a balance between consumers, transporters, and the producers of the natural gas. So what have we done as a PNGRB in support of these, what we intend for? So I will be talking about the key initiatives what PNGRB has been taking and has taken so far. And the first one I would talk about the CGD business authorizing different geographical areas. So if you look at currently in the last 4 years, we have taken the country from 20% population to almost near to 100%, 98% to be precise, wherein we have covered almost the entire country in the last 4 years. There is no better example in any part of the world where this much of coverage has been given at such a fast pace, in spite of the fact that COVID has been there with us since 2020. So even after COVID, the 11th round what we did was a maximum where almost 66 GAs were authorized, and this is what we have done as far as CGD authorization is concerned for the different countries. And in fact, there was a very good response also when we launched these different rounds. And more than 450 bids were there when we launched this 11th round in the beginning of this year, starting from end of last year to beginning of this year. So, looking at the CGD infrastructure in the country, today we have around 1 crore or 10 million PNG connections in the country. The CNG stations are around 4,800 plus CNG stations in the country. So earlier the people used to buy vehicle and they used to drive within the city, like what is happening to the EVs right now. Anybody who is buying a EV, they would prefer to drive it within the city because there are no charging connections available, or the time consumed to charge the vehicle is very high. So they are restricted to it. But now if you talk about the CNG vehicle, I mean, you can very comfortably drive from one corner of the country to another corner of the country. So, this 1 crore connections of PNG and this 4,800. So, if we take about together, if we take the minimum work program commitments which have been bidded by different entities under various rounds, so there will be around 17,700 CNG stations in the country after these 11th round construction has been completed in next 5-7 years from now. And there will be more than 12 crore connections for the PNG. I mean, if we take those minimum work programs. And in MP, we have just 1,34,000 PNG connections as of 31st October, and there are 222 CNG stations. So this infrastructure, I believe, has to grow with the support of the government, and there are good companies, almost 10 companies working in the MP. So good corporate houses are there. So with the support from government and government officials are here, I'm coming from the regulatory side. So with our support, I think they can flourish, and the AQI which I was talking, it can remain at the levels where we can breathe comfortably. So the next step, I'll talk about the transmission pipelines, which are nothing but the backbone for any CGD business prevailing in the country. So right now we have authorized around 33,600 trunk pipelines in the country, out of which 22,300 is operational, and remaining around 23,000 kilometers of trunk pipelines are under different stages of construction, or they have been authorized. So this map, especially the purple color, which was looking white just last year, so the entire map has been shaded with different colors being shown for different geographical areas that have been brought under different rounds. So more important is now that we have already authorized these geographical areas, the pipelines have been authorized. Now the focus is on the execution and how we can support this execution to be rolled out in a very fast manner. Now, since I'm in MP, and if I don't talk about infrastructure in MP, then I think I'll be failing in my talk. So massive investments have been planned in the state of MP. Government has been strengthening the infrastructure around natural gas pipeline. 4 pipelines are there. I mean, 2 are under construction, 2 already there. And besides the CGD network being there. So if I talk about 9th, 10th and 11th round, especially 200 geographical areas were authorized, out of which more than 10% was in the state of MP, covering almost 50 districts. And there are 10 companies. In total, 7 GAs were offered in the 11th round, and we received a very good response of 46 bids against that. So in totaling, there are now 25 GAs in the state of Madhya Pradesh. All the districts of Madhya Pradesh have been authorized for the CGD development. I mean, there are no districts which have been left. But I was talking to Mr. Hadid, he was saying that 1 or 2 districts are still left, so I'll talk to him separately. But as far as we understand that all the districts have been covered, and these 4 trunk pipelines, these will be the major feed for the CGD in the Madhya Pradesh. So this is how the map of MP looks like, especially this purple for the 11th round, wherein the majority of the CGD geographical areas have been authorized. Now coming to the next, the key initiative, which is one of the major initiatives that happened in the country, was authorization of the first gas exchange in the country. Now, especially this is more beneficial from the point of view of the CGD companies who need short-term gas, especially on their Monday to Friday. They may not need it on Saturday, Sunday. So this exchange is of extreme usage to them. So this exchange was authorized in the year of 2020 December, and they have completed almost 2 years. And the volumes are also going on this exchange. And currently there are 35 registered members there, and they have almost 120 clients. So in the first 2 months when we authorized, there were mere 1,500 MMBTU that was traded, and in some of the months there was no trading happening. But in the last month itself, they have traded around 1.5 cargoes, that is as good as 120 MMSCM of volume in on a single day. So that tells about the importance of the gas exchange in the country, and it is growing. So if we look at the gas price benchmarks, which is available for the India, which IGX is a India Gas Exchange, which is a authorized entity for this. So they come out with the gas prices which have been benchmarked, and currently the gas prices they are much lower than the spot prices available internationally. So that also brings a lot of interest for the meeting the short-term requirements for different companies. Now, some of the regulations and how we have been evolving over the years, over different rounds from time to time. So I've just given a snapshot. Prior to 9th and 10th round, before that is 2018, the exclusivity period, that is the entities, they can market the gas exclusively in the geographical areas was just 5 years. In the 9th and 10th round, we made it to 8 years, and which was further rewarded by an extension of 2 years to the performance, depending on how they had met their minimum work program commitments. So the infrastructure exclusivity of 25 years stays. Performance bank guarantees, which was as high as 5,100 crore rupees, have been brought down by 100 times to just 50 crore rupees in the 9th and 10th round. Bangalore, if we talk about there, the PBG has been given by an entity to 5,000 crore rupees. And we came to know that industry, especially these CGD entities, they were facing the issues in the financial closures, especially in tying up loans with the banks. So as a role of facilitator from the PNGRB side, we have increased it from 180 days to 270 days in the 11th round. And we have held certain rounds with the banks also. We brought the banks and the CGD entities, gave them a platform to discuss how we can resolve the financial closure issues so that they can be given lending as fast as possible at the competitive rate. And very recently, in the Kirit Parekh committee, we also gave a recommendation because of gas prices, especially because of this Russia-Ukraine war, it has gone up exponentially. So we, in order to support the CGD industry, which is, it's a sunshine, just a rising industry in the country. So we know that it is going to be difficult if the gas prices keep on rising. In order to support, we also suggested to Kirit Parekh committee that there should be a floor as well as a ceiling especially for the CGD companies as far as domestic gas is concerned, so that their interests can be protected. And very recently, we gave a 2 years relief due to the COVID, wherein some of the companies they were yet to complete their MWPs in the year 2020. And besides that, PNGRB continuously monitors the progress of the development of the pipelines and the CGD distribution networks. Now, very recently, we have brought an amendment in the natural gas pipeline, which are backbone for the CGD business, and this has been the talk of the town. This happened very recently in the last month. So what we have, if one entity is having today, if 10 pipelines, they will have 10 tariffs, and it becomes really challenging for the companies when they go to sign the GTAs for the gas which are traveling in the multiple pipelines, and they look for the short-term gas through the gas exchanges. So for evaluation purpose, they have to take this tariffs into consideration as to how many pipelines, how many different states, taxes. So these are the costs for these companies. So we thought that why not one entity, one grid, one tariff should be the concept. And then after taking that into account, one nation, one network and one tariff. So this is an amendment we brought in the month of November, and some of the disincentives for the major pipelines have also been removed, and because they were not able to make good returns. So, I mean, if we look at the country, these pipeline utilization, barring couple of pipelines, so was around 30-31% utilization, whereas we determined their tariff at 75%. So their IRRs were subdued and they were not able to make the return. So some of the reliefs, some of the disincentives which were there earlier, those have been removed, so that there is also they can focus and we can attract more investments on the pipelines as well in the country. So with this, I come to my last slide. Since officials are there from the state government, so very recently we met with the Karnataka government chief secretary in the month of September. So after meeting, I think in a couple of days they reduced VAT in their state to 5%. And I was going through the taxes in the state of MP, so I still see that it is high at 14%. I don't know whether it's on the cards or so. This can be taken into consideration. To reduce the VAT up to 5% because this was also there in the draft CGD policy which has been shared with the different states for the adoption, and this was one of the points there. Besides that, I know there is a nodal officer for the single window clearance in the state of MP, but the major issues what I see from the various companies after discussing with them that they need faster allocation for the land or the ROU support. I'm sure my fellow speakers from the state authorities will talk about these things, so that these industry can come out and MP can see the rollout of CGD business as fast as possible. So with this, I thank you and thank you for giving me time for speaking at this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj Bhutani, Joint Advisor, Petroleum and Natural Gas for shedding some light on what is the vision of natural gas for the country and what PNGRB doing, and what is expected out of the various state governments and industry, and how industry and government can work together so we can have this transformation for effective environment management, if I can say so, that we know where the future is heading towards. But we all have to come out of our silos and work together as a team to achieve that goal. Thank you so much. I request Shivani to come on stage and hand over plan because we're talking about sustainability. So we thought instead of giving speaker memento, let's give all of our speakers with a plan because it's a real summit and we're talking about sustainability. A huge round of applause to Mr. Bhutani. Thank you so much for joining us.